Okay, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about a legato today. So legato to guitar players is really using hammer-ons and pull-offs rather than alternate picking. That creates a very smooth sound. Alternate picking gives a harsher sound. So because you're hammering on, you're not getting that attack of the pick. Now, my legato technique was undoubtedly born out of listening to lots and lots of Joe Satriani when I was younger. This is what he did a lot of, and he was kind of my hero when I was, I don't know, 20, something like that. So a lot of my legato stuff comes from Joe Satriani. So I kind of do a lot of 3-note per string stuff. And what I did was learn all the major scales up and down the neck on 3 notes per string. I'm not saying that's necessarily a brilliant thing to do, but that's what I did. And use legato technique to perform those. So let's talk a little bit about the legato technique itself. So the way we're going to demonstrate it is we're going to use a G major scale, and we're going to use the first position of the G major scale, which is quite a typical way of using legato. So if we just demonstrate that, and then we'll talk about the technique itself. So we're going 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8. Okay, it's quite easy because every pair of strings has the same pattern on it. Right, now when you're doing legato, the first thing is you've got to slow down. Don't go into it hell for leather, because you'll start teaching yourself the wrong techniques, okay, and then they'll become embedded, and then they'll be harder to lose. So a few things. One, it's fingertips, okay. I see students when I teach this kind of doing this sort of stuff, and that's just not going to work long term, okay. You've got to use your fingertips. So when you do it slowly, and you really think about your fingertips landing very precisely on the strings. So you could just start with that, but just make sure that every time that fingertip is landing, and you can see the little marks on your fingers there, and it's never that. So to start off with, that would be good exercises, going 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7. And it also, you should get it so every note sounds like every other note. Yeah, you shouldn't get quieter bits and louder bits. It should be really smooth. Thumbs in the back of the neck for this. Okay. As far as picking goes, obviously it's one pick, hammer on, one pick, hammer on. Picking nice and lightly. You also see that my fingers here are resting on the strings, because that's giving my pick a reference point rather than floating. That's a lot harder. And also, if I'm floating, I've got to support my whole arm with all these muscles. I don't want to do that. I want my arm to be as relaxed as possible. So by putting my fingers there, it allows me to relax my muscles a bit more. Then you can move on to the next pair of strings and do. Then the next pair of strings. Okay. Then you can put all that together by going. Yep. Now you can do, there's lots of different patterns you can do with this. Some of my favorite patterns are this one. So by that one, what I'm doing is I'm doing that, then repeating that, repeating. So that makes it sound like we're doing this pair, then this pair, etc. You'll also see that I'm putting a bit of mute on there as well. That gives it a slightly different sound to this. The problem with that is you can hear it now. You can hear it all ringing out a little bit. With muting, it's just a little bit cleaner. Yeah, or you could use a mixture of the two. Another one I do is I do it in 3, so I'm going 3 strings, then back 1, 3 strings, back 1, 3 strings, back 1. Okay, so that gives us this. Yeah, you could do string skipping, and I think the one I did at the start, something like that, is this. So it's hard to do it slowly. So that's it. And then but to start off with, once you get the pattern on just on 2 strings, you just repeat it. So just get this going. Yeah. A lot of these pattern based things are very similar. You get the pattern going, and then you just keep repeating that pattern. Now once you've got the hammer-ons, obviously I was doing pull-offs in that as well. So instead of going up the scale like this, right, you're reversing. And reversing it is very similar to doing it forward, but you're doing it backwards. Genius, eh? Right, but you're just going pull up its fingertips. I'm using it's all downstroke, and then you can kind of just mix it all up a little bit. You will find it's quite tiring because you're picking quite fast as well. You know, it's on your muscles on your forearm will start burning up a little bit. All right, now you should then try it along to rhythms. Though to be honest, a lot of when Joe Satriani plays it, he tends to just blast over the whole thing. He's probably not thinking rhythmically a lot. He's just thinking, let's do it as fast as I can. And then he's just aware of when that sequence is going to end, and he's ending in the right place, and that helps it all fit together. All right, but a lot of the time, I think he was just blasting over the top of it. So have fun with that. Enjoy.